Hi Cancer and Cancer Rising, here is your horoscope for September 2025. I'm Astrologer Joseph Anthony. All right, it is eclipse season again. Now this happens about every 6 months or so throughout the year. We have two eclipses that occur, and then later on at the 6-month mark we have another two set of eclipses that occur. So this is going to be very significant for many of you. So if you're a Cancer rising or a Cancer sun sign, this reading is for you. It's a very general, very basic overview of what the planets are suggesting. I use the Western astrology using the tropical whole house system. And again, your birthday and your birth chart may be completely different from this. So just keep everything in perspective. This is just a quick overview of what it is that the planets are trying to suggest is going on. Now, this is still going to have about a 75% accuracy rate. So keep that in mind. But remember, every time there are eclipses or new moons or full moons, you guys are affected because you guys are ruled by the moon. So an eclipse, whether it's a solar or a lunar, is like a full moon or a new moon on steroids. So you guys absolutely feel that energy coming in, and you know something's about to change. And so that's the kind of month we have here. And so I'm going to get into the full moon in a second, and then we'll get in later on in the video, get into the solar eclipse. And all of these areas are going to be affected are going to be the third house of communication and ideas and how you express yourself versus the direction, your purpose, your belief systems, travel, education, and learning. So this is a big month for many of you where you're going to learn a lot about yourself, and you're going to begin to reinvent yourself mentally, psychologically, and in many ways, and the way you express yourselves, the way you communicate. This is going to be a very pivotal month for many of you. All right, so keep that in mind. So as we start off the month, we have some favorable alignments going on. We still have Jupiter going through your first house of identity and self. So you're feeling either a little bit more happier, or you're focusing more of your attention on yourself. Maybe you're doing some light traveling, focusing on the home environment. Cancer is associated with the home and real estate and land. And so this is all going to be on the table as well. It will continue this month. But also we have Venus in Leo, which is very favorable if you're a rising sign or a sun sign in Cancer, in the second house of income and value. So this has a lot to do with your belief systems, what you really value, the physical side of life in terms of your possessions, money, investments. So this should be pretty good. You know, you're really keeping a good eye on this. Mercury has now come out of retrograde and is moving direct in the same house. So your focus absolutely is on making money, or buying things, or looking good, or buying clothes, or taking care of your children in terms of maybe buying them clothes or making them look good. Whatever it is, your own situation. I'm just giving you ideas. Now Mercury will be leaving will be leaving Leo for Virgo. And here is Virgo. The sun is in Virgo, highlighting this third house. Now, the sun in Virgo is very analytical. But unfortunately, the sun in Virgo makes us more nervous. We have a little bit more anxiety. There's some stress. We worry a lot more. And I don't have to tell you, Cancer and Cancer rising folks are the worriers of the zodiac. Because they're trying to constantly protect their families, themselves, and their surroundings. But Virgo is the other sign that worries a lot. So you two are the two symbols, the two signs that do worry a little bit more than normal in the zodiac. But now we have the sun going through here in the third house. So this is all about communication. And so you're more concerned about what you're thinking and how you communicate with others. Maybe there's a need to express yourself in some way, but you're doing it in a very perfection-oriented way, which is nothing wrong with it. But the solar eclipse new moon is going to light up that third house right around the 21st, and I'll get into that later. But there's a lot of activity taking place here this month, as it always is. And it all starts with this retrograde of Saturn. Now, the outer planets are in retrograde. Okay, 3 of them at least, and there'll be a 4th one with Uranus. But now Saturn returns to Pisces at least until the beginning of 2026. I believe it's the end of January. But Saturn returning to Pisces in this 9th house has a lot to do with your belief systems, has a lot to do with what you believe on a larger scale. Things like religion, politics, the meaning of life and purpose. And so Saturn is asking you to take one more look at that area. before it finally leaves this part of your chart and will not return here for another 30 years. So it'll be in Aries moving forward the next couple of years. So this is giving you one last look at your belief systems on a higher level, your religious beliefs, all of that stuff, your education. This falls under all of this umbrella here with Saturn returning here for the next few months. So you'll be focusing a lot of your attention on that, that subtle energy. Now here's Mercury entering Virgo on the 2nd, late on the 2nd into the 3rd right there. And now Mercury is all about communication, and it's in Virgo, the analyst, Virgo the perfectionist. So for the next 3 weeks, you guys are overanalyzing everything, maybe worrying a little bit more than normal, and you're expressing yourself with a little bit more passion and anger because Mercury in Virgo can be a little pessimistic. And so you're adding your Cancer passion to this alignment. So be careful of having conversations with your children, your loved ones, people you really care about, because there could be some explosive energy or sudden revelations about your current relationships and situations. Okay, so it's just a precautionary warning. Not that it's going to be anything bad. It's just that the energy is going to be ramped up a little bit more. Now, Uranus goes retrograde on the 6th. Right there it is in stationary position before it moves backwards. And it will not leave Gemini. Actually, it will leave Gemini. And so for the last time, it'll go into Taurus right up here. But Uranus going retrograde in the 12th, again, has more to do with spiritual understanding. The past, where do you come from, what it is I'm here to do, my purpose. All of that stuff is going to fall under this umbrella as Uranus retrogrades backwards. Okay, and so this is again going to be into the new year, into 2026. It'll continue retrograding back, going back into Taurus, and then when it comes out of that region, I believe it's in February, it'll move back into Gemini once again. So this again, the outer planets act as subtle movements, in our lives. There's nudges, okay, but it'll bring us back into the past once again. So keep that in mind. Now, here, let's talk about this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. It's in a water sign like yours. Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer are the 3 water signs. And it is highlighting this 9th house of higher beliefs, your purpose, religious beliefs, lessons, education, travel, mental exploration. This is all under this umbrella. Now, this is going to be at 15 degrees of Pisces, so wherever that is in your actual birth chart, you want to focus there. But this is a lunar eclipse, which means an ending, a cycle that's completing, or some sort of revelation or understanding. And so it's basically saying, what's my part in this world? What do I believe in? What is the source? What am I connected to? And you'll be thinking on a deeper level. But at the same time, it's a cycle that is coming to an end. So you're saying, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't travel as much. Maybe I need to change my belief systems when it comes to politics or when it comes to religion. Maybe I have enough education. I don't need more. These are things that you're going to be pondering with this full moon lunar eclipse. Okay, and it's in Pisces, so it has to do with spirituality as well. Like, what are my beliefs? What is God? What is religion? Where did it all come from? These are the questions you're going to be asking yourself. Now, fortunately, eclipses can take up to 6 months to slowly reveal themselves and transform this energy. So it doesn't just happen on this day. It continues to slowly morph into something different. And so this is the beginning stages of major changes in your thinking, your philosophy, the meaning of life, and so on. Mercury enters Libra on the 18th and 19th, right there, 4th house, home and feeling. And now Mercury's a little bit lighter and easier in Libra. But Mercury in Libra can be indecisive, and we already have Mars in Libra, which is indecisive. So this is about the 4th house. Maybe you're thinking about re-beautifying your home or painting or buying new furniture or drapes. Maybe you're having important conversation with family members at home, brothers, sisters, and partnerships. Maybe you're in a partnership and you're contemplating a move of some kind. That's what Mercury is going to bring to the table as it makes its way through the 4th house. Now, Venus enters Virgo right there in the 3rd house, continuing to amplify this energy of the 3rd house in Virgo, analyzing your relationships, analyzing money, analyzing, everything about your life, perfection, being fastidious. This is all Venus in Virgo. And the energy gets ramped up even more with the solar eclipse in Virgo, which is a new moon right there. It'll be at the last degree at 29 degrees of Virgo. So there's so much energy here in this third house. It's just screaming, you need to change your mind. That's what it's saying. You need to look at the world in a different way. Be realistic about what you want and who you are and what you think about. Focus on what you want. This is what this new moon solar eclipse is suggesting. So over the course of the next 6 months, you're putting the wheels in motion for something different. Maybe you're thinking about moving. Maybe you're thinking about, starting something new that involves you expressing yourself in some way. This is going to be huge. Just don't get wrapped up in this idea of perfection, even though it's in Virgo, the sign of perfection, because you will drive yourself crazy worrying about perfection or worrying about what other people think. So the bottom line is do something that you feel comfortable doing and express yourself and your ideas, and maybe you want to write and maybe you want to blog. This is all going to be very favorable. Now, Mars enters Scorpio on the 22nd and 23rd right there, and this is going to ramp up the energy big time because Mars in Scorpio is very intense, very passionate. It lights up this fifth house of love, romance, creativity. So you're going to feel absolutely more creative in the next couple of weeks, up to about 5.5 weeks or so as Mars makes its way through Scorpio. So this could be very favorable for many of you. So keep an eye out for that. And of course, around the same time, the Sun enters Libra, marking the fall equinox in the Northern Hemisphere. Again, the family life is highlighted. Again, real estate matters, the home, children, all of this stuff. But it's in Libra, peaceful, loving Libra. So this is more of a time to, just enjoy yourself and look at the beauty in the world. All right, so there you have it. Anyway, there's the general overview. If you want to know more, I do a deeper dive into this in my Inner Circle community with an extended version. And this is where I go into the alignments and everything's going on, and you get more information from the astrology. Of course, I also do a weekly astrology that everyone really enjoys. I give them an overview of what the alignments are saying. We do Zoom calls every Sunday, and so people really enjoy that because they get to ask me questions. Some people send me their charts. I answer a few questions for them, so consider joining. It's a free 7-day trial, so there's no obligation. Check it out. I think you might enjoy it, and I look forward to possibly seeing you in the community. Anyway, have a great month, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye for now.